Good morning and welcome back to the MEO Rip Curl Pro, Portugal, stop number 10 of the Samsung Galaxy Championship Tour. It's a cold Sunday morning here at Point Fabril as we anticipate the official call to see if we'll get round 5 back in the lineup on this Sunday morning. Remember, the world title race still alive and well, and we had some fantastic performances yesterday. Thanks for being with us on Dawn Patrol. Joe Trappell, along Strider Wazalewski, former world champ Martin Potter. Waz, you've been in Europe for over 30 days now. Remember Cascais? That seems like a lifetime ago. How you feeling?
Yeah, pretty much moved in, set up shop, got a house. You know, the family's coming over. We're moving in.
Exactly. Yeah. Always good to be here in Europe. Yesterday, Potts, we got to finish 5 big heats. We got to see the round 4 matchups underway, and the guys moving to the quarterfinals straight away put on brilliant performances, starting off with Kolohe Andino.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday was it was a tricky day. I mean, it's one of those lineups that it was shifting. The tide was coming in. There was some pretty solid waves out there, but Kolohe Andino looked really comfortable. I mean, all the guys that moved through the quarterfinals were just on fire.
Interesting now getting a little bit of daylight to check out conditions right out front here. How much different every day can be, every morning compared to the afternoon on the changing of the tides. How much different does it look this morning from what we saw last night, Strider?
Well, yeah, I mean, a complete opposite onshore, just dribbles coming in. You know, one thing that has been consistent here every morning, Kolohe Andino, John Florence, a few of the crew out in the water no matter what, which I think is probably the key to their success at the moment, keeping the flow, understanding that they need to be down here no matter what. Why not go out and catch a couple waves and stay in it? Who knows? You know, if it's going to be on, they want to be ready for it, and I really take my hat off to that because that's just showing how pumped they are, how psyched they are, and how committed they are to being in this thing.
Really impressive with all the coastline, obviously starting off at Super Tubos, making the move here to this bank. They've got to be ready for everything as we think about the surfline forecast. We know we've had something to surf every day. We've seen massive swell, and also we've seen some smaller conditions through the early couple of heats in the first round. As we bring up the maps, Potts, how are we looking for the rest of the waiting period?
Well, you know what, it's one of those most unpredictable places in the world. So, you know, every time we sort of think we've got a really good forecast, it goes against us. So I think it's wake up and check it. You know, it's one of those places where, you know, even though we've got some, you know, good-looking swell on the way, you know, it's just a matter of where it's going to hit, where the banks are. So it's wake up and check it. I mean, we've got strong winds today, and it's not really the right direction. As Strider said, it's all chopped up here this morning. Yesterday afternoon was huge. This morning we woke up and the swell had sort of almost disappeared. So, you know, I'm sort of almost in that sense of go to the old school where we just got to wake up every morning, have a look.
We do have a forecast for the wind to come around, though, and it does go more easterly, which is what we want, even the southeasterly on this bank, but the easterly winds are great. So we can see the spike in the swell this afternoon coming up to a massive 12 to 15 feet.
Wow.
But it's southwest winds, so that's not what we're looking for. And then as it drops off on the backside, you'll see those winds clock around more east. So as you can see there, on Tuesday, we're going to have a more favorable wind, which is exactly what we want. At least that's the forecast. Like you said, we've had a crazy amount of forecasting going on, and then we get down to the beach and we're like, oh, okay, it's a little bit different. But we don't mind that. We're adapting to the, you know, constant change, and that's what you have to do to win. You have to be able to adapt, and that's what we've seen out of the surfers, and we're ready for more.
Also, we were watching the cams up at Nazare yesterday, people getting some bigger boards, guys like Josh Kerr getting a strike mission up there as well, as we're seeing that swell spike. People are talking about maybe watching some really big conditions up the coast possibly tomorrow, but also contest officials aren't just staying here. They're already doing homework, checking other banks as well for more possibilities throughout the day, Potts.
Absolutely, and I think that's what we've got to do. We've got to keep an open mind, and that's what the surfers are doing as well. You talk about John and Kolohe Andino being out here every single morning, no matter where we're at. So, you know, you've got to keep your finger on the pulse. It's that adaptability that's gonna take you all the way, and I think the guys that are willing to you know, change up their game plans are going to be successful.
Well, as you remember, we ran one heat around 5 yesterday. Parker went down to Adriano de Souza, so on deck, Julian Wilson, Michelle Perez. We'll get the official call coming up next on Dawn Patrol, and also check out the top moments of this contest. and welcome to Dawn Patrols. We're checking conditions early in the morning, waiting for the official call. George Rappel, Strider Wazalewski, Martin Potter on hand. Boys, yesterday it was so cool to see how dedicated the fans are here in Peniche. Going through multiple calls, multiple waits through the tides. There's all these long dirt roads to come down here to Fabril. They'd wait for the call, then hundreds of people would literally be walking down to see the world's best. I've never seen that before, Waz.
Yeah, it was really cool to see that vibe, that feeling. You know, everybody coming down in the afternoon with their coolers and their drinks and really making an afternoon out of it. And then when the contest got called off, they stuck around and they literally were on the beach screaming and hooting for the free surfers that were in the water, because it was a moment when it went, you know, pretty good out there. And guys were getting some nice tubes. Ryan Callanan, I think Julian Wilson, Sebastian Zietz. So it was really fun to see the vibe, the energy of that crowd that came all the way down here to just stick it out, enjoy it, and watch the show anyway.
Well, now getting through day 6. We're halfway through round 5 at the moment. Let's start thinking of the best parts of this contest so far. It's just day 6, but it feels like we have a lot to think about. Going back to round 1, back at Super Tubos, we had a round 1 matchup with Josh Kerr, Alejo Muniz, and Ace Buchan, which is really fun to watch, Pots.
Yeah, I mean, well, this guy right here, he loves Super Tubos, and why? Because there's ramps everywhere. You know, if there's no tubes on offer out there, there's definitely these big ramps. Josh Kerr, you know, almost every year this guy comes here, we see some highlight stuff from him, but I'll tell you what, Alejo Muniz, he really did give Josh Kerr a run for his money, using some of his own weapons against him, Joe. It
was impressive to see Alejo use a move that Josh Kerr named. That's called the corrupt flip with that double grab version. We almost thought he might use a weapon of Josh's against him in the seat to take a win. Alejo wasn't done there. Another big tail high punt. This was exciting. It was instant satisfaction. Short waves, they caught a million rides. They're going above the lip. We couldn't keep our eyes off the lineup there.
Well, yeah, you know, we talk about Josh Kerr, and he does all these crazy airs, and he's getting these good barrels, and we talk about his highlight reel every year from here. And then he goes up and runs up to Nazare, and he puts his head down on a couple of bombs, you know. Yeah. So he's definitely got a wild eye. He loves to, you know, the next level. He's looking for, you know, that next step in surfing, which I love out of Josh Kerr.
Well, things got very serious and interesting when we started diving into the world title race, because we had top 3 names on the Jeep leaderboard dealing with round 2 action. There was one guy that put his hand up to be a spoiler, and he played it so well. Jeremy Flores hasn't made it out of round 2 or round 3 all season. In round 2, in this one, he ended up taking out Matt Wilkinson and ending his world title show.
Well, this was the first wave of the heat right here, 9-point ride. I mean, up until this point, guys are struggling to get scores, but you know, Jeremy Flores, he's requalified through the QS, so the pressure's off. And what did he do? He went out and absolutely ripped. 9 points on the first wave. He backed it up with an 8-point ride on a left-hand tube ride, and all of a sudden, Matty Wilco's world title races started fading. But to Matty Wilco's you know, credit, he came back with a solid 8-point ride of his own, but just too little too late. This guy here, no pressure at all, surfing incredibly well.
What a crazy 4 minutes for Jeremy. Packing the right into the 9s, then going left, 7, then an 8-point ride, all in transition. This was the Wilco 8 that broke the combination. He ran out of time after that one and ended up getting knocked out with a 25th Strider.
Yep, and you know what? A good man that he is, he took his super coach, Glenn Microhall, to the airport right after that. Why not? You know, he's such a good guy. Those guys have such a great relationship, and I think a great job done by Glenn Microhall, obviously this year with a world title under his belt, and he's hoping for, you know, a top 5 finish still.
Yeah, you know what, Matty Wilco's got to be proud of himself. I mean, just of how he's you know, held himself through this year. 2 wins at the beginning of the year. I mean, it's his best year ever, so he's got a lot to be happy about. Walk away, hold his head up high, and you know, I mean, it's been an amazing year for him.
The part I loved about it, the final in Fiji. Are you kidding me? Everybody was thinking no way, and here he is. You know, he kind of beat down everybody's thoughts about what he was going to do, and he performed above and beyond expectations.
So interesting with the spoiler role of Jeremy Flores taking out Wilco and then going into round 3 at a different venue. That's when we came here to Point Fabril, and it was absolutely firing. Jeremy Flores was on a mission in this one. Pachi ran into him before this heat. He was jumping out of his skin ready for this heat.
No, he was. You know, super excited. Obviously, he wanted to play that spoiler role. But this first wave from Gabriel Medina, I thought, you know, once he does that, he then just goes on to bigger and better things. But kind of sort of, that was his highest scoring wave of the heat. Jeremy Flores, on the other hand, made a couple of mistakes early, but then all of a sudden found some rhythm, found some groove, and found himself on some really good, clean waves. surfing with no restraints whatsoever. Gabriel Medina, a couple of flashes, couple of really amazing maneuvers, but just didn't quite put it together. Obviously maybe a little bit of pressure there with that world title race, but Jeremy Flores is on an absolute tear. Tricky conditions, and that's where, you know, he does some damage.
Unbelievable. Flores taking out number 3 in the world, Wilco, and then now affecting the title race for Gabriel Medina. And Jeremy had a positive read on this one. He fell in a couple turns in this heat to start, and he said that just motivated him. He's like, give me another chance. I want another wave to provide a big finish, and he got that opportunity.
Well, he did. He capitalized on it, and I think that the difference in this heat for the two surfers was flow. I think Jeremy just had more flow coming through, you know, each and every wave that he rode. I feel like Medina's first wave was a really great start, but then, you know, his next wave, the 3-turn combo that he had, there was some in between there that it didn't link together complete, and I think that's why Jeremy got the nod in the end, and that's why the wind's just blowing today, because it's just going to happen. It's got flow.
Yeah, J-Flow.
That's right. What an impressive heat from Jeremy Flores, making it very interesting for Gabriel Medina in the title race. Portugal has helped him in the past where he's made the final and come very close to winning, but he also has felt pressure in title showdowns before. We're losing to Brett Simpson really early, so we'll see how he's going to be watching from the sidelines with John Florence Potts able to control his own destiny.
Exactly. I mean, John's in a really good position right now. It's up to him. He's surfing incredibly well. I mean, his last round heat was to me his best performance so far. Couple of shaky starts, you know, a couple of average sort of heats to begin, but he's finding the groove. He's surfing unbelievable, and that yellow jersey's not weighing him down at all.
More top moments coming up on Dawn Patrol and the official call for the contest today. We'll be right back for more right after this. Good morning and welcome back to Dawn Patrol here in Peniche, Portugal, as we still wait for the official call as we're just getting everything set up down here on the beach. We all received the news that former ASP head judge Mike Martin has just recently passed away. Him sharing so many great memories in the sport of surfing. Our thoughts and prayers with the whole Martin family as we're thinking about you guys all today, as we think about all those amazing moments from going back in 40 years of professional surfing. Potts, as you know, there's so many people that played so many beautiful roles in paving the way for what our sport is today.
No, absolutely right, Joe. You know, our thoughts and prayers do go out to Mike's family, but you know, so many people played a big part in sort of making the sport into what it is, and you know, we've got to sit back and remember that.
As we think about the top moments as we continued on, we talked about the spoiler role of Jeremy Flores. We've talked about some of the crazy heats that we saw yesterday in round 4, and there's people on the other side of the title race that need to requalify. Guys like Miguel Pupo, who we know that he's capable of massive results. He looked like a completely different surfer yesterday in these long, stretched-out left-hander, Strider.
Well, yeah, not just yesterday, but on the first day. I mean, remember those tube rides he was getting out here at Super Tubos? You know, when he was just finding the perfect little nugget. There he is at Super Tubos, finding the nugs and actually coming out. You know, he was actually having so much fun out there. You could just see the look on his face. And, you know, he loves the barrel. Coming out, banging off the lip, really finding a flow. Almost stuck this thing, was just out of control.
We kind of think about the spoiler of Jeremy Flores. Well, maybe Pupo was the first. Wilco was in this heat, tried to sit on a different bank. Miguel stuck to a game plan, got multiple barrels through the inside. What'd you like the most out of him at this venue and when we moved?
I just think the consistency, the wave selection, the maneuver choice, he just looks right on point. I mean, there's no mucking around with Miguel Pupo. Look at the turns there, critical stuff, but he's doing it all with that classic style that we love from Miguel Pupo. I mean, I've always called him the modern-day Joey Lopez, and I think he is. But just his wave selection, it just seems like he's choosing the right maneuvers at the right time, Strider, and wave selection absolutely on point, but just no mistakes, and I think that's what's been his success. I think when he's had priority, he's obviously picked the right waves, but also ridden those waves to perfection.
And then taking down, Kelly Slater as well. Look at these tube rides. I mean, he was just having a blast. To note, before we got started over here on this bank, Miguel Pupo stayed out into the dark, warming up, finding, what he needed as far as knowledge on this sandbar and through the tide. So he definitely did the research, did the homework, got out on the bank, found the right waves, and look at how much fun he is having out there. Miguel Pupo just makes you want to go surfing. He's got that beautiful style. He's got so much flow.
Yep.
He never looks like he's really, kind of catching rails or anything. He's just got a nice, smooth, silky style. So Miguel Pupo, nice work on getting everybody pumped up.
He's got a good board under his feet too, by the way. I mean, that board looks amazing.
So good to see him surf that well. The only goofy footer to survive in a goofy versus regular matchup the other day, and it happened to be Kelly Slater along the way. Miguel already into a huge quarterfinal with a chance to move up the Jeep leaderboard. Another man that's just been topping the scale with numbers, South Africa's Jordy Smith. Massive scores, almost a perfect 10 at that last round before we left the beach that day in Kayana, 9.7. And remember, he still has a mathematical shot at the world title race. So this is going to be an important run for him, Potts.
Absolutely. I mean, Jordy Smith, 9.7. It equals the highest scoring ride with Michel Perez, but the waves he's been catching, I mean, it's kind of suiting his style of surfing. To me, Portugal is very similar to South Africa. It's that beach break feel. It's those really hollow, punchy sort of waves, and it is absolutely suiting Jordy Smith surfing down to a T. It looks like he's surfing without any pressure too. I mean, this guy has been looking for a world title for many years. I think he's probably the best he's ever looked. Obviously, mathematically, he's got a chance of winning a world title, but he's got to win this event, I reckon, if he wants to have any kind of shot going to Hawaii.
Well, coming off of a win, right, you get that, sense of security, sense of confidence. You've got that strut as you run down the beach, so to speak. And then, he's got the skill, obviously, up in the lip. I mean, this guy is so clean. He knows exactly where to put the board, and he's having fun doing it. He's, could play that spoiler role like we talked about, keeping that cork in the champagne bottle for John. And you know what? Everybody else around him probably thanking him because he really is just on fire. And for him to come back at the end of a heat under pressure right here for the, excellent score to take the win through this heat. I mean, he really does have composure under pressure now where he didn't have it before he had that event win.
He waited for about 15 minutes before he started catching waves in this heat, but with that pressure building, it didn't look like it. It looked like he had the game plan. He stuck to it. He caught 2 waves in that heat, and that's all you need. It's quality, and Jordy Smith's been producing that. And
it's something about rhythm in the water, but also on land, and then you see him doing those claims as well. Remember the claims he did in Rio? It's like he's channeling this really happy feeling. He's enjoying his surfing as well as he's got a shot in this world title race, and I think that just really suits Jordy Smith so well when he's in that position. And he's been runner-up at this contest twice in his career in a variety of conditions. He turns in a lot of magic at Portugal, but the guy that he has to wait to see what will happen is John Florence. John, number 1 in the world, wearing the Jeep yellow jersey, was out here early in the morning with another free surf just in case it would be a finals day, and he's looking sharp no matter what size of the conditions are. Potts looks like he has no pressure at the moment.
Absolutely no pressure, Joe. I mean, but he's doing everything right. You know, I think his preparation. You know, we talk about being out there early every morning. Looks like he's just in the groove. You know, he's doing exactly what he needs to do, and what that's doing is it's giving him that confidence moving forward. When he paddles out in his heat, he knows that all the hard work's been done, and all he's got to go and do is surfing and have fun, and it's looking like he's doing it. Obviously, the first couple of rounds, it kind of looked a little shaky, but that last round he surfed to make it through the quarterfinals, probably the best performance I've seen from him so far.
Yeah, you can see right here, he's just really tacking away, really feeling the flow, finding those moments. And you know, it's interesting with John, like you said, in those first couple of rounds, just didn't look that great, right? But then look at him just committing, even under priority, to get the wave he needs to win. And that's what we like to see, that he's got that bite, he's got that feeling of, I want to win that bad, to where I'm going to take this wave, even if Adriano de Souza has priority, I'm still going to try and catch it. And he got it, came out, does the lip line float with confidence. Something to note, you know, you talked about it, about the prior rounds, not having that look, and then going out and seeing this out of him when he moved to this sandbar. That sense of confidence, that sense of style, and that sense of like relaxed look. Like in those other heats over at Super Tubos, his arms went into, you know, cactus mode, where they were like too solid. Once he drops those arms, once they go loose, good night.
As we check out the percentage here, Michael Jordan doing the math for the stat side of things. He's always working a part of our Fantasy Surfer Club. He's saying a 33% chance for John Florence to clinch the world title here in Portugal. So seeing a fair shot there. Obviously that percentage is all dealt with numbers, taking his average heat score of what he's done in Portugal in the past and previous matchups with the opponents he's had so far. So saying there's a solid chance there, 33% coming into the quarterfinals already. You really can simplify that, Strider, and be like, okay, he's probably about 2 heats away from just clinching this whole season.
He is, but he's got somebody like Jordy Smith coming off of the wins and feeling that really good feeling about winning.
So an exciting day potentially on hand. Coming up next on Dawn Patrol, we will get the official call from Deputy Commissioner Travis Logie. Welcome back to Dawn Patrol. We are soaking wet down here on the beach, waiting for the official call first thing in the morning. I think we might be the last people left standing, our production crew holding the tents, and we are soaked. Joe Chappelle, Strider Wazalewski, Deputy Commissioner Travis Logie, thanks for joining us on the show.
Thanks, bro.
We tried to call the show off according to conditions, but that's impossible as we wait for the official call. Oh, what's the final call for today?
Yeah, as you can see, it's not a very glorious day, so we're off for the day, and we're going to have a meeting and reconvene and try to figure out where we're going to make the call for tomorrow and what time. But yeah, the weather's pretty miserable today. Strong winds, rain, and the swell's going to be 1,000,000 foot by this afternoon, so sketchy.
Are you looking at potential different venues for running tomorrow?
Yeah, there's a possibility of moving back to Super Tubes because it's going to be way too big for this bank tomorrow, and then even Tuesday looks pretty good window for Super Tubes too. So we're going to have a discussion and make a call whether to move back there or not.
Thank you very much, Travis and Strider Wazalewski. Enjoy WorldSurfLeague.com. We'll see you bright and early on the show. This copyrighted event broadcast is produced by the World Surf League for broadcast around the world and may not be retransmitted, reproduced, rebroadcast, or otherwise distributed or used in any form without the written consent of the World Surf League.